Uh, that's the Zoom lady. That's my son. He's like, who's that lady? Okay. Welcome everyone to the May FPAC meeting. I'm Alyssa Munoz. I'm the director of FPAC. Again, if everyone can put yourself and your favorite festival or spring or summer activity in the chat, so we know who's in the room, that would be great. I get really distracted always reading these and I just love them. Okay. So we'll get started. This again is our May meeting. It's our sort of last meeting of the FPAC year, which runs from September to May. All that means is that that is when we have our general meetings. So for the summer, we say we take a break from meetings. All that means is that we are doing internal work. We're looking at the strategic plan. We're giving working groups a break from meeting if they want to. We're trying to like gear back up for the fall. So we do tons of planning and evaluation and that kind of thing. All right. So policy updates. We are deep in the legislative spring session or the Louisiana legislative spring session. I will go over some of these. This was written early this week, so it could be that there were changes. So if anyone has any updates that I have incorrect on these screens, please let me know. So to sum up, it's wild over there in Baton Rouge, y'all. So these are some of the bills that we're watching. I only put the bills that we're watching that have changed on this slide. So you can see Bryn dropped it in the chat. We have a large document that shows everything. And so anything that's changed since the last meeting is what I'll go over. If it hasn't changed, then I'm not gonna necessarily mention it today, but there's a lot in there. So HB 303, which is about a SNAP reduction if a juvenile enters the juvenile justice system. It has moved to this, it moved out of the House into the Senate and sent to the Health and Welfare Committee. It's not on the schedule yet, or it wasn't on the schedule as of Monday. We'll let y'all know when it comes forward on the Health and Welfare schedule. HB 670, which is updating the Healthy Food Retailer Initiative. And that gives tax breaks and incentives for folks to grants dollars. For folks to carry healthy food in food deserts, and that expands the eligibility of it, and that has passed both houses and should move on to the governor. Don't see any reason why it wouldn't get why it would be vetoed. So that's really exciting. SB 195, that is. So right now, DCFS, if there are extenuating circumstances, they can use their judgment to waive work requirements for people for SNAP. SB 195 will disallow DCFS to make that determination, and they will have to get legislative approval for that. That will cause a lot of, it kind of takes away the power of DCFS to make those decisions. That has passed the Senate and referred to committee by the House. I imagine it will pass the House if I had to guess, but Daisy, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I was in Baton Rouge yesterday to testify on that one. It did pass the House committee, and also the part about the legislative override is removed. So right now it just says DCFS cannot ever use the waivers unless the federal government requires them. And it got through committee like 9-4. So Representative Fisher was trying to do some pushback. He got in touch with me and people from Louisiana Budget Project. He was like interested in learning more. So I sent him some info on a previous bill that did have that legislative override to see if he wants to add it as an amendment on the floor. But yeah, not very good news on that. Sorry.
Okay, no more raising your hand, Daisy. I'm just kidding. Thank you for that update. We worked with a law student, and I just got them, but she did drafts of reports that show sort of the constitutionality or legal like if this is legal on some of these things and the burden. And so she did it for SB 195 and SB 196. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I'm planning to send it out. I'll send it to you all, and I'll send it to our like legislative partners. So SB 196, and that is about program integrity. Did that also go through yesterday, Daisy?
That one wasn't heard.
Okay, great. That one, it's another increased DCFS load, about program integrity and about the need for DCFS to keep better records. And it's very complicated, but basically it's trying to take more people off of SNAP. That hasn't moved since it was referred to committee on 3/11. So that could mean that it's dead. It could mean that they're not planning to move it out of committee, which happens a fair amount. It didn't have, my understanding is that it didn't have a ton of support, but we'll keep you all posted if we hear anything on that. And then Grow the Good, which is HCR 61, is scheduled for floor debate in the House on May 13th. There will be a lobby day at the Capitol, a little mock farmers market that Market Umbrella and Bretta do. It's a very fun day. Let's see. I know there's some folks from Market Umbrella here. Is there anything to add?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, great. And I think they're asking for $2 million this year. Is that right? And so,
Oh, sorry. I was confirming with Angelina right next to me. Yes, the request is for 2 million and the preliminary confirmed amount is for half of that right now, but.
okay, that sounds about right. And so just to remind everyone, Grow the Good is a state-funded program that is operated by Market Umbrella to have to do SNAP matching at farmers markets in Louisiana. And that this will be the third funding round for it, which is great. It's passed in the last 2 years. So again, follow along. Thank you, Bryn, for dropping these in the chat. We have our tracking document. We try to update it weekly. Or every 10 days at a minimum, because things are moving. Some things are moving really fast. Some things are moving really slowly through the legislative session. Does anybody have any questions or anything I've missed? Okay, great. Well, we finally have draft Farm Bill. We've been talking about the Farm Bill for, I don't know, 15 months now. So they both released their draft summaries late last week. The House draft or the House summary was very short, 7 pages, but it appears to do damage to SNAP, lowering SNAP levels, adding, requirements, those sorts of things. It cuts funding to urban farming and historically disadvantaged farmers by cutting funding and programming supports. The Senate draft summary was longer, 96 pages. I read through those, it was very intense. That has protections for SNAP, including continuing to do the thrifty food plan adjustments, a study on the impacts or if they should have allow for hot prepared foods like rotisserie chickens, which is something we have been advocating for a very, very long time. For small farmers, including whole crop insurance, something else we've been advocating for, and for food organizations or food system organizations with USDA funding of the local agriculture marketing program, the LFPA, those sorts of things. Really excitingly, there is grants for disasters in there. So, we were hoping it would be kind of a climate smart and equitable farm bill, and the Senate version appears to be. So now kind of how this works. And we do have, if you'd like to learn more about the Farm Bill, on our YouTube channel, we have 2 or 3 Farm Bill webinars that explain all about the Farm Bill and how it's passed. But as a reminder, once both houses have their drafts, they have to work together to come to some sort of agreement. Right now, unsurprisingly, they are very far. So we just have to sort of see how things shake out. We are hopeful that the Senate version is closer to how things end up, but there will definitely be compromises made. And you can look at those drafts. They're in the chat there, and we'll send it in the notes. Devin, is there anything anything I missed on Farm Bill?
I just dropped some different synopses from some of the national organizations that are generally kind of aligned with the priorities that we identified in Louisiana. And I apologize if I missed this, but because the House version is very short, it's basically being seen as the chair wanted to put something out because he knew that the Senate was putting something out. So it's not actually like much to really engage with or like take heart on or even really need to respond to right now. Like very predictably not great. The Senate one is worth putting energy into understanding and figuring out plans on.
Great. Thank you very much. And we will be continuing to engage on the Farm Bill. I think some folks from Louisiana will be going to DC for the FRAC, Food Research Action Coalition. They are having a conference and a lobby day in June. And so we'll be able to respond to the Senate's version of the bill then. Great. Oh, I'm so sorry. I could not find mute. Yes, the Senate framework is better than expected, which was surprising. All right, Haley, can I pass to you for Farm to ECE?
Yes. Hi, everybody. We have a few updates with Farm to ECE. Our next statewide working group meeting is June 11th at 1 p.m. And so that will, or Alyssa, don't we have one? Isn't there one next week?
We do. I thought that, remember, we got mixed up and I thought that meeting would have already happened. We actually have one May 14th. Apologies.
Yes, so that is this coming. And then the following one will be June 11th. Right now we are working in 4 networks. We have 5 centers on the ground and 9 centers total. Last month between Sprout and myself, we delivered 796 cartons of strawberries as pictured in here. 2 centers, and they did a little taste test with like a graham cracker, yogurt, strawberry taste test as part of our curriculum, and they all had a great time. I'm waiting for pictures. I've been asking centers for pictures. We will eventually have pictures uploaded to our website. All networks now have gardens to some capacity. We are really excited about this and planting. I'm bringing some watermelon starts that I've been growing in my own garden to the centers tomorrow. And so that will be our first plant that we're putting in there. And then we're going to do a lot of different flowers to get some pollinators back there, and maybe adding some stencil work of, pollinators so the kids can get an idea of how everything works. So, but dirt is finally in every garden, and we're really excited about that. And our statewide work group is currently focusing on policymaker education and procurement pilots. And we have a one-pager that will be coming out at our next meeting that we can get on the website, on the FPAC website after next week. And so be on the lookout for that. If there's any other information to keep you updated on, follow the tab on the FPAC website under the Farm to ECE.
This year, thank you, Haley. This year, the Louisiana does its CCDG. Anyway, it's like the big funding mechanism for ECE, and they have their plan that they submit to the federal government is, I think, how it works. I'm still learning the ECE side of Farm to ECE, and so we will be giving a set of recommendations on how to increase Farm to ECE and how to increase healthy food in centers as part of that. So we'll be testifying to the Department of Education on that, which is exciting.
Yes, and to add to that, there is a potential, we're still working out details, meeting in person between Louisiana, Mississippi, New Mexico area states that is tentatively in August, I believe. So we should be gathering together to kind of all be able to share how things are working within each state and what everybody is doing in regard to what Alyssa had just referred to.
Great. Thanks, Haley. So last month, was that last month? I think so. We took some amazing students from Xavier University to the Capitol. And they got to see some hearings. They got to meet with some policymakers, as you can see here, Royce Duplessis, who's a Xavier alum, met with them, met with us. And so it was a great day. They got to really see, we've been training or teaching them about policy and policy advocacy for the last 6 months, I think. And this was kind of the final thing before, well, many of them graduate. And so that they could take everything we've been sort of training them in and see it in action. So here's some pictures of us and them learning about how policy works, why Duplessis decided to go into public service and that kind of thing. So we loved that day. Okay, so those are sort of our policy and FPAC updates. We have a couple more. I'm sorry. I want to introduce Luke. Luke Felty is here with us. He's the new food access specialist position. I think in the last meeting, we shared that we were hiring for this position. And so it's funded by FPAC, granted to the health department. So he's technically paid by FPAC, but he's a health department staff member. And he'll be co-chairing the food access working group. Luke, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hey everybody. I've had the pleasure of meeting several of the people on this call already, but for anyone I haven't met before, it's really nice to meet y'all, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone here and being a part of this team.
Thanks, Luke. If you want to reach out and get a meeting or anything, sorry, Luke, but I put your email address here.
Oh, I was about to do the same. That's
okay,
fine.
yeah, if you want to drop in the chat. But please reach out. You know, we want him to meet as many of our partners and understand the work in the food system as possible. But super excited to have that. And from what I've heard and seen, it's going really well. Really big news, you guys. We've been talking about this for, I don't know, a long time, but it is happening. You can see our okra accordion over there. That's a newly coined term. This is the Louisiana FPAC logo and branding. So we are thrilled to announce that work has begun on Louisiana FPAC. It is happening. We are currently looking for statewide steering committee members. So if you're interested in being part of that statewide steering committee, please reach out to me. My email's right down there. Or if you have ideas for other people who should be part of it, if you know somebody in a different region, what we're looking for. And I also have like a recruitment type letter, not recruitment, but a letter about what the steering committee will be. But basically we're looking for people who either work at a statewide level or work in different regions around the state in, you know, agriculture, business, food access, hunger, farmers markets, all the aspects of the food system. And those folks will be helping to guide the policy priorities for Louisiana FPAC. So as that happens, I will be moving to network building for the statewide. And so we are hiring a New Orleans regional director who will continue the amazing NOLA FPAC work and kind of move it forward. Bryn just dropped the job posting. If you're interested, please send me your resume and cover letter. I do also want to say that we will, you know, the hope is that we get somebody kind of within our network. That also means that there may be some discretion needed. And so I just want to assure everyone that there will be discretion if you work for another organization and you're interested in this. I just want us to be open about the fact that that might happen and we can kind of figure that out, but I won't be like calling anybody's bosses and being like, did you hear? There will be some discretion in that because I know we're all tight around here. does anybody have, we're gonna have a website up soon. That'll be this summer, because as we all know, I am tech unsavvy. And so this summer we'll be working on the website and figuring out what of NOLA FPAC's current work will move to the statewide work. Like, for instance, our Farm to ECE statewide working group, that makes sense to go to Louisiana FPAC, but stay, but then the center work will be at NOLA FPAC. And NOLA FPAC, I see a Daisy, give me one sec, will be the flagship council of Louisiana FPAC. So it will continue to inform Louisiana FPAC. It will support Louisiana FPAC. Louisiana FPAC will support it, that kind of thing. It's not a breaking off. Go ahead, Daisy.
Thanks, Alyssa. And I feel like you were kind of answering my question. Is the goal that there will be like other region FPACs as well, and then like the state, and so New Orleans will be kind of in that umbrella?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly it. Yes. So New Orleans again will be the flagship one. And so we're going to start this statewide steering committee. And then in addition, we will be helping to incubate or grow or support other regional, I don't know if there'll be coalitions, councils, committees, whatever they want to call themselves. And that will be a more slow and deliberate move. We certainly don't want to go into a region and be like, you need a food policy council, and we know how it should look. We want to see who's interested in having a food policy council. There are food policy networks in different regions around the state. So who needs support and that kind of thing. So we imagine, and our Brian, who helps with our this logo, is imagining all sorts of vegetable musical instruments like the FPAC Satsuma French horn and the okra accordion. We're going to have a whole band or something. I don't know. But yes, that is part of our goal. And this work is funded through the Louisiana Department of Health and through funding through Novo Nordisk, which we have with Louisiana Small Scale Agriculture Coalition. Any other questions about it? It's really exciting. All right. So we'll be spending the summer. Hopefully we'll get this job filled in the next month or so. And then we'll be spending the time, the summer, I don't know, y'all, onboarding that person. And the September FPAC meeting, hopefully will be their introduction, the next general meeting. And they'll be ready to rock. Great. Again, this is not possible without NOLA FPAC being so robust. And that's thanks to all of you. So thank you for helping us do this.
I just wanted to say huge congratulations, Alyssa. I know that this has been a long time coming and a lot of work, so really exciting.
Thank you.
Echo that it's really exciting.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just love that okra accordion. Okay, so now I'm going to stop talking and pass it to working groups. Food access working group, I guess, I don't know if that would be Haley.
Yes, for now. We are kind of revamping. As we stated, Luke has joined on board, and so we're going to be doing some revamping of food access working group in the next few months. But our next meeting is, I believe that's next week, May 15th at 1 p.m. And we will be having an in-person meeting at Second Harvest in one of their meeting rooms. We will also make it available via Zoom. So I will be sending out a reminder email, probably, I think it's on my calendar tomorrow to send that out. So be on the lookout for that for more information. We're just really excited to have the in-person option, especially for those of us who attend the meetings regularly. We have like a core group, and then we have people who, come in when they can. And so the core group, we really thought that it would be important to get in person to start planning more heavily for food access. We're going to be discussing the general policy updates affecting our state right now, but also trying to figure out our next area of interest. Like we just did SNAP as our past focus, which we're finishing up right now. And then we're looking forward to what our next area we would like to zone in on is. We're also going to be putting together a document to figure out what everybody in the food access working group what their current role is and what their organization is offering in terms of tools or any sort of, information for sharing information about Snap and basically what their platform looks like right now, and the capacity looks like, so that we can kind of form a plan, especially as hurricane season approaches. I know we have a disaster plan made by the disaster working group that we would like to just make sure we're covering our own bases in food access. So getting that ready is our next priority. So I hope to see you all there, and I will be sending out that Zoom link and more information on which room we'll be meeting in shortly.
And that's the second harvest out in, I can't
Yes,
remember.
I'll
Harahan?
put the address on there, but it's, yes, over in Elmwood, Harahan, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, by the shopping and the big auctioneer gym.
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right, Biz Dev, I think we have both co-chairs, so whoever would like to speak.
I'll do a quick summary and pitch it to Eric. Traveling and allergies is what my voice is saying. The pollen and everything is blooming, so hopefully we'll have some great harvests for the ECE program. We are excited to talk about the fact that we're fleshing through our theory of change model to really harness what does BizDev need to work on, and also other networks within the region are doing the same. GNO Inc. is having this conversation. I know Propeller is shoring up their CPG side, and we have so many different ESOs that offer incubator support. So where does FPAC biz development fit? And we really narrowed it down to the permitting and licensing. So we're also trying to narrow that scope down a little bit more and have baseline businesses that we support and look at. We haven't forgotten about the supplier diversity side or things attached with the clean zone side, but making sure that we're preparing businesses and creating an infographic update information is like a starter kit to how you should progress and how you can progress within the food space, not just in Orleans, but I know Jefferson Parish and St. Bernard are also working on this as well to have it more robustly available. And so we have a meeting right after this. We'll do more specifics, and there's a Menti poll to guide more of what we need to do, how we should do it, and we can always use more additional hands. I was afforded the opportunity to go to the Main Street Conference, and there's a person from the Institute of Justice on the call. And so I'm excited that we have some other policy support that do this research at no cost to the agencies. And we have some of the House bills and the information that, thank you to the Tulane grad students for putting together, but creating more of a synergy that's not just in Orleans Parish. And this is a conversation that we've had at the regional level, but that there's similar processes for each parish and not differing from one-stop shop to JP to St. Bernard access zones. So that is helpful that I was like, yay, I stumbled upon help at a food truck session. So thank you, Ava, for being present. And we'll offline a little bit more about that. I'll put the meeting notes in the chat. There's vacancy at the Trap Kitchen. Eric is going to talk about that. The Fried Chicken Fest vendor sign up. This is a great segue to, if you all think this makes sense, maybe there's a poll or put a thumbs up in the chat, that's something that we can help support vendors and businesses that are already licensed. Thank you, Eric, that are already licensed, to just have a rolling Rolodex of these local vendor opportunities. I know that French Quarter Festival yielded over 900,000 2 years in a row, and with a fee of roughly 3,000 to 7,000 depending on your vendorship. No worries, Rosalind, that you have to have your shored up capital, your money, your funds, but it can also be lucrative at a local level more so than the one-offs. So that's continue to go back to that same conversation that we had. Happy to have everyone involved in the conversations. Please vote on the Menti. If it looks bootleg, forgive my decorations. I was trying to make it efficient, and I'll put all those links in the chat, and I'll segue it to Eric.
Thanks, Chandra. Also along the lines of the permitting and licensing, Propeller is, I'll find the links, but they're hosting permitting office hours, and along the lines of vendor festival preparation. Propeller has a series of workshops starting in June for, businesses that are wanting to ramp up into the festival world. We here at Trap Kitchen are gonna, we have some good information that we're gonna be gathering from clients, because we just had 3 clients that were in French Quarter Fest and or Jazz Fest. So we're gonna set up some lessons learned from them and collaborate with some of the other organizations there. And now that the big festival season's wrapped up and those seasonal clients have moved out, we have a couple vacancies here at the Trap Kitchen. So thanks, Chandra, for putting that in here. So if you do know of any food businesses that need a fully licensed permitted commissary kitchen, we are here to provide that service. And we also, do some business development. We work with all the other orgs as well. So, yeah, and please attend our business development meeting just after this one. And we'll hopefully convey the results of the poll. Thank you very much. And goodbye.
Thank you, Eric. If folks want to find out about the vacancy at Trap Kitchen, you want them to email you? Drop it in the chat.
That'd be great. I will drop my information in the chat.
Okay, great. Thanks, BizDev. All right, seafood. Is that Bryn who's doing that?
Yeah, I'll try to do this with the least amount of disruption as possible, but I got some roofing work going on right here, so bear with me, but I think Zoom's good at tuning out the background noise. So our next seafood working group meeting is June 12th at 11 a.m. That's a standing meeting. That's every other Wednesday. So if you want to join in on that, this group is more of our like policy focused group, as opposed to our Eat Local committee, which is more of our like marketing and events campaign. But these groups both coincide and do a lot of work that overlaps each other. We're currently getting into the brown shrimp season. So now is a really good time to support your local shrimpers. It's the time to get the best shrimp of the year. They face dire circumstances year to year. You know, we deal with coastal land loss, prices of diesel just to get off the dock, as well as lack of regulations for imports. And the consequences of these circumstances, they trickle off of the docks and into the distributors and eventually consumer pockets. So right now, if you're interested, it's the best time of the year to be getting some brown shrimp. We always want to be supporting our local shrimpers. And on that note, we do have some bills that we're tracking in the legislative session. We had dropped that sheet that we're using to keep track of. It's kind of divided by our different group focuses. So towards the end of that document, you'll see the bills that we're tracking that are seafood related. We're also working with the Eat Local group and developing more like finalizing the rest of our seafood passport. So look for that website launch and a bike ride celebration the first weekend of June. On June 2nd, we'll be having a seafood focused bike ride. I'll talk more about that when we get to Eat Local. So if you are interested in joining any policy advocacy for seafood, reach out to me, or if you're interested in working on getting resources out for the passport, let me know.
Thank you, Bryn. Thank you, Haley, for helping me with my tech difficulties. Okay, climate and disaster. So right now, this working group is focused on a farmer disaster prep series called Don't Get Caught with Your Plants Down, which is very fun. This is a 6-week series starting June 1st that's going to have accountability, prizes, fun. And this is really to help growers get ready for hurricane season or sort of disaster season, if you will. We all have like your hurricane or your evacuation plan and all of that as like people. But farmers, it's like a whole nother level. So we'll be doing things like getting your farm plan ready, uploading photos of your farm to the cloud, understanding how the cloud works, getting USDA farm numbers, uploading your crop records, those sorts of things. It's going to be really fun. It's a 6-week series. There will be some of it will be online. Some of it will be in person. but there will be much more information to come with that. And that is a coalition. It's through their regional food system partnership that we're doing it with Market Umbrella, LSU Ag, Sprout, FPAC. I can't even remember everyone. There's a lot of us working together on this. But we will keep you posted on it. And if you're interested in coming to those meetings, the next one is Breda. Yes, I'm sorry. The Baton Rouge Farmers Market as well. And this is a little bit of a project of Louisiana Small Scale Agriculture Coalition that we're founding members of. But if you're interested in getting involved with our climate and disaster working group, the next meeting is May 20th at 3:30 p.m. We know that 3:30 on a Monday is not ideal, but that's when we do it and we still get things done somehow. So email Bryn or myself if you're interested in joining that group. I'll pass it to Devin.
Hi, everyone. My name's Devin Ray. I do research and policy with Sprout, but I am also kind of part of FPAC. So I run the food production working group, which is at this current juncture synonymous with the A Greener New Orleans campaign. So as you all know, hopefully the Urban Ag Liaison position was funded by the city for the 2024 year, and it's in the Office of Resilience and Sustainability. We're working really closely with the director over there, Greg Nichols, who's been a great partner. There's been a bunch of EPA deadlines for grants recently, though, so it has slowed down just a little bit. But that position should be posted in the next month, and unless something big changes, we were instrumental in building out the job description, the hiring rubric, and hopefully we'll figure out what we're calling a community accountability agreement to make sure that this position is that was born out of community remains accountable to community, which is really exciting and really cool. We are also hoping, or kind of, we're devoting our attention to standing up this position and making sure that, again, it is as accountable to community as possible and that it's as successful as quickly as possible, and that it doesn't kind of get sidelined into other projects. So as part of that, we are kind of paused on some of the other component parts of the campaign, basically to set this person up so that they have very clear buckets of work and things that they can make progress on. So basically setting them up for success and using our base work that we've done to kind of lead them in so they don't have to start from scratch. So that hopefully looks like this Urban Ag Liaison getting seated and then very quickly taking on our blight code work to make sure that producers aren't getting incorrectly cited for blight, and then also making sure that agricultural water meters or hose bib only meters are that process is streamlined within Sewerage and Water Board. And yeah, just keep an eye out for that job description, and that is another thing that we will hopefully hire internally on, or like within our community on.
Thanks, Devin. Back to Bryn.
Okay, so our Eat Local Committee, another one of our groups that has a standing meeting. It's the last Monday of the month at 1 p.m. So our next meeting is going to be May 27th. It's going to be right before a big weekend for us. June is historically Eat Local month. And we are kicking that month off with a bike ride on that Sunday, June 2nd. The meeting point and the kickoff spot will be at Crescent City Farmers Market, and that time will also serve as a kickoff party for the launch of our Seafood Passport. The Seafood Passport is a joint project with Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana's oyster shell recycling program partners. So the restaurants that recycle their oyster shells for reef builds, and Audubon Gulf, which is Gulf United for Lasting Fisheries. They work with a chef's council, and they produce a lot of resources like sustainable seafood methods, as well as like fin fish guides. So working with their two restaurant partners, as well as Crescent City Farmers Market, to encourage folks to go to shops that are using local seafood. And the idea is that you can redeem 5 receipts for a tote bag. So that website and program initiative will be starting and launching on June 2nd, which is also when we'll be having the bike ride. And then in June, we will be looking for City Council to be reauthorizing our recognition of June as Eat Local Month. Last year, we had Councilmember Harris. We know that there are some council members vying for a mayoral run. So we might be looking at one of those to champion this going through. So look out for some advocacy to spread the word. We usually have unanimous support. It's a great win for whichever council member wants to champion that. But we'll be sharing some resources on how to make public comment. It's also a great way to get any students or anyone entering into the food advocacy world. A great way to just make a really easy, unproblematic public comment. And we also have a date for our favorite event of the year, Garden of Glass, which is our event with the World War II Museum, in which we invite local distillers to create a cocktail. This year, we're extending it to 3 hours long because we've got, almost a dozen distillers at this point. So the idea is that you go around and you try the different drinks and you vote on most unique, most photogenic, and best overall. And this year we'll be honoring a distiller that has the biggest impact or is making the biggest moves using local ingredients. We'll have like a special distinction that we will internally decide to try to, get that more focused on folks using some of the direct resources that we have within our coalition. So if you're looking to join in on any of that planning, we have the Eat Local General Committee that meets, but we also have an Eat Local Events Committee. So if it's something just like in your own professional development that you would like to gain event planning skills, or if it's something that you just want to be included on the super fun things that we do, we're also meeting. We have a newly established events committee within Eat Local, which is almost an events committee of itself. So if you are looking to, either gain a little bit more understanding or join in with us on any of these, please email me.
Thanks, Bryn. Oh Lord, that is very stressful. Sorry, I should have been more emotionally prepared for this slide. These are all the meetings we've mentioned. So we'll send out the notes that'll have all this, or take a picture of it or whatever, but we have quite a few meetings coming up in May and June. Next slide, please. Okay, super excited to share the space with MAC. MAC worked with FPAC and some partners to create a theory of change for the food system. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mac. We have your slides, right? Mac, you don't need to share screen?
No, I'm mostly gonna stay on this slide, so I might ask you to advance it. So
Okay.
thanks. Yeah, thanks, Alyssa. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mac Giancola, and I'm a 17-year New Orleans resident and just finished my dissertation at University of Illinois Chicago School of Public Health in their doctorate in public health leadership program. And for the past few years, I've been working on my dissertation with FPAC as what's called the Action Research Partner, along with Market Umbrella, Hammond Artisans and Farmers Markets, and Breda. And one of the aims of this type of study or action research is for the findings to be relevant, meaningful, and actionable to the organizations, communities, and people involved. So first off, thank you to the leaders and everyone at these organizations who for your support over the past few years. One of my aims in doing this study was to demonstrate that those of us in this region are accustomed to responding to disasters and disruptions, and we're experienced at it. And in turn, others can learn from what we're doing. So that was really part one. And then I also noticed that with the CPRA predicting about 4,000 square miles of coastal land lost in the coming decades, resilience will be essential, but resilience alone is not enough. And I looked into systems transformation methods and used one called the 3 horizons. And in this graphic, each one of the wisping green, blue, and red lines represents a horizon. And so this was used to explore the future of a transformed food system, one that represents our collective values. And my committee also felt this type of thinking fit well as a theory of change, or what I'm calling a story of change, that goes from 2020 to 2050. The image on the screen is a sketch note that was drawn during a facilitated discussion in October of 2023, where I presented the preliminary findings, and many of the people I interviewed, including FPAC members, were at that meeting. And in the 7 minutes I have today, I'm not going to go into the findings very much. I just wanted to let you know that what it is, that it's available for your use, and what the next steps are to make it more usable, because the initial intended audience for what I currently have was an academic committee. And so to make it more usable, I want to continue working on the document, which is about 250 pages without the appendix, to reduce the jargon and make it more accessible. So next slide, please. So again, what has been developed and is available is a regional theory of change supported by local evidence. I believe this theory of change is important because it is longer term to 2050 and more inclusive of big picture challenges we're all facing that go beyond organizational level strategic plans and program level logic models. But the content really reflects the conversations between all of you and what's needed now and in the future. I just gave that some structure and put it into writing. So it is very much your theory of change. My hope is that FPAC and others can use this document for planning, grants, and training purposes, as it is based in evidence and academic rigor. In addition, it includes outcomes food systems leaders in Louisiana prioritized collectively that should help transformational change, in contrast, as I said, to reform-based changes. I'm happy to talk about those meanings more in the future, more at a later date or one-on-one. Next slide, please. So my study questions asked very broadly how farmers markets and also food systems leaders were managing during the polycrisis of COVID-19 and Hurricane Ida simultaneously. And the data indicated specific competencies around leading, learning, planning, managing resilience. I also looked at outcomes, which included what I believe are, and I think are locally and community-led innovations. And I think Grow the Good is an incredible example of that. And the third question about the future of the food system is where I really used that 3 horizons transformation method. And it's written out as a vision and different types of potentially disruptive innovations that might help push into transformation. Next slide, please. So again, this was done as a cross case study with Breda Crescent City Farmers Market and Hammond Farmers and Artisans Market as the cases. And they were nested within the food system in Louisiana, where I interviewed 13 food systems leaders from government and nonprofit organizations. I also gathered data during in-person site visits and anonymously interviewed farmers market attendees, from staff to customers and vendors. And I'm happy to discuss methods, analyses, biases, and all that stuff if it's of interest to you. Just reach out. Next slide, please. So sorry for the haziness on that slide. This was a preliminary graphic depiction of the findings, but really just in the interest of time, it includes examples of both resilient and transformative management practices that I gathered from the evidence, multiple types of innovations, such as also outcomes, such as entrepreneurship was an example of one, but also policy innovations and necessities for transition to the transformation system, as well as kind of an aspirational vision for the long-term future. And I'm sorry about the blurriness again, but I'm happy to share that separately. But I think that really goes into the next slide of what's next, is to really work with FPAC and Bryn to turn that graphic in the prior slide, as well as the document, the relevant portions of the document, into like an easily accessible and readable document. If you've seen the GusNIP theory of change, I think that one's really well put together and very approachable in terms of a public-facing document that the organizations who interface with GusNIP can use. Chapter 5, Chapter 5 does have a section with recommendations for food systems organizations and public health organizations on how to support the food system, and recommendations are presented directly with supporting evidence if you do want the full document. And then at present, for example, I'm turning some of the small portions of the study into peer-reviewed journal articles, and also looking for funding to write up additional findings. I think Grow the Good is a really amazing example of locally led innovation. And then finally, happy to share the full dissertation as a copy to anyone who would like. And thank you for your support on this. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mac. If anybody has any questions, Mac, if you want to drop your email in the chat, and we will send out anything that is, we can maybe send out that document that was fuzzy because nothing ever translates well to Canva, I find, with the notes. But it was a really interesting process to, watch Mac do and then be a part of the whole thing. So I highly recommend looking at it. Okay, great. So now it's time for community announcements. I don't think that Terrence is in the meeting, but I'm happy to announce that there is a community urban agriculture micro grant fund. Gosh, excuse me. That Sprout is administering through the USDA FSA. So applications open next Monday, I think is the 15th, Wednesday. I don't actually know what day the 15th is, but on the 15th, thank you, Devin, for dropping the link. The deadline is June 30th, so it's only a 6-week open application. They will be having technical assistance office hours. FPAC was part of a steering committee that helped to inform the application process, so I can speak with assurance that the application is quite easy and very accessible for folks who are interested in that. And I hope that lots of growers will take advantage of this because it's $500,000 for New Orleans urban agriculture. Another exciting thing, this is also for farmers, is National Young Farmer Coalition. Is doing what they call Root and Bloom Fellowship. And this is a policy advocacy fellowship for active farmers. And so this is really exciting for farmers who want to get more into policy advocacy work. They will pay you to be part of this program. So if you're interested, we dropped the link in the chat. We dropped it twice in the chat. That's how on it we are here. And then now those are the ones that we knew of ahead of time. What announcements do other organizations have? I think that we do have a flyer from American Heart Association that Bryn just dropped. And Devin, you're up.
Just gonna keep on the farmer beat. I just dropped in the chat a link to Rafi's Beginning Farmer Stipends. It's another pretty low barrier way for producers to access money. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And this is for what's your organization doing? Are you hiring? Do you have an event coming up? Do you need support in any way? This is sort of where we share what's happening in the food system.
This isn't really about NOHD, but I'm just dropping in the chat a link to a USDA grant that I just found out about recently for implementing technology for SNAP in case anybody's organizations are interested.
Great. Casey, go ahead.
Actually, Stacy.
Just kidding. It's actually Stacy. I'm here with Casey. Hi, everyone. I have a couple things, exciting things on the horizon. Bayou Boogaloo, we are hosting at our market a kickoff, which is going to be a free event. That is happening on May the 16th, the day before Bayou Boogaloo starts. We are doing that in collaboration with Friends of Lafitte Greenway. They're going to be hosting an art market in the break tax station. We'll be putting on a fantastic market at Farmers Market as usual. And then there'll be live music from the Bras Brass Band, which is an all-women's brass band, which I'm kind of excited about. Yes. And then we are also still hiring for a farmers market coordinator to work our Sunday market and join our wonderful team. So if you know anyone, it's listed on our website, send them our way.
That's the
Thanks.
job that got me into the New Orleans food system. That's where I started.
Oh, love that.
Billion years ago. Oh, Daisy, great. You have summer EBT info. Do you want to share it? Because I completely left it off the
Yes,
slide.
I'm sorry. I totally forgot that that has been going
Hey,
on as well.
we're kids. We just keep forgetting about them.
So the last thing that we heard from council and from the state was that the state is definitely moving forward. They have gotten confirmation from USDA that it is possible to get it this summer, and those cards should be going out June 4th. So that stuff from the news has been confirmed. We at the city met with the schools. There's like some new guidance coming out for how the schools need to work to get people to apply into this. It's a little different than previous years, but the schools got an update from LGOE, so that's all moving. Thank you to the state and everybody who worked at the state level to make that happen. City, we are not running the gift card program anymore because we are having the state funding. I think, the council members and health department are in conversation about potential ways to explore that funding that was granted, but right now nothing is confirmed, and we're just using the state funds.
Great. That's right. Because the other ones was if the state couldn't, then it would be granted. So that's fantastic. Thank you. And I'm so sorry, y'all, that I forgot about that. Okay. Do we have, we're 1 minute over, but if there's any other important announcements, we would love to hear them. And if not, then we will see you. Well, I know that we'll see like every single one of you in a million meetings between now and then, but at another one of these meetings in September. So we hope you have a good summer. We hope that there is few evacuations, and that everybody stays cool, literally and figuratively.
Thanks so much, Alyssa.
Thank you. All right. Y'all can go to the
BizDev
meeting.
Yep.
All right. Bryn.